it looked like the ESPN reporter has just dropped some major information about Caitlyn Clark and everybody in the WNBA 2026 season. Guys, we got to talk about
this. Is about what I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision? It's stupid. And I'm going to tell you why it's stupid. I want all the ladies on this squad to know every single one of y'all are deserving of it. Caitlyn Clark does not deserve a spot ahead of any of the players on this roster, okay? If we're talking just basketball, you know we're not.
We need to break this down right now because what just dropped has the entire basketball world in panic mode. An ESPN insider has released a stunning, game-shaking report that could detonate the entire 2026 WNBA season before it even begins. And no, this is not hype, not an exaggeration, not a drill. The league is staring directly at a ticking time bomb. The collective bargaining agreement, the contract that literally allows professional basketball to function, is set to expire tonight at 11:59 p.m. sharp. And according to every credible update coming out, the owners and the players aren't simply divided. They're operating in different galaxies. Negotiations have collapsed. Neither side is budging. It's a deadlock with catastrophic consequences. And here's the frightening part. All the momentum, the unprecedented surge of attention, ticket sales, and cultural energy sparked by the Caitlyn Clark effect is standing on the edge of a cliff. Years of growth, millions of new fans, an explosion of visibility, all of it could be wiped out overnight by a lockout that owners, unbelievably, seem prepared to embrace. Take a moment and let that sink in. The biggest boom in women's basketball history, potentially destroyed over money, power, and pride. Because underneath all the PR statements and negotiation leaks, this showdown is being fueled by one thing: ego.
Apologizing? You make decisions, marketing. I want people watching. I want eyeballs. I want advertising dollars. Why? Because he'll get paid. Y'all will get paid. And guess who else will get paid? You see where I'm coming from? That's what it's about. Stop acting. Otherwise, we know this. You don't sit up there and
Let me ask you something directly. Do you honestly think the WNBA is willing to risk a full-blown lockout and with it, burn to the ground everything Caitlyn Clark has done to elevate this league in just 1 year? I'm genuinely curious, so tell me your take in the comments, because this situation is spiraling into something far more serious than anyone expected. ESPN's Alexa Filippo just dropped one of the most alarming breakdowns we've seen yet. She outlined the nightmare scenarios the WNBA is facing as the collective bargaining agreement races toward its expiration. That deadline? 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Tonight. By the time you're hearing this, we're literally hours from impact. And the possibilities she describes range from messy to absolutely devastating. Every single one threatens to derail the once-in-a-lifetime surge of visibility and excitement that Caitlyn Clark has injected into women's basketball. So let's walk through the 4 scenarios Filippo laid out, because until you understand exactly what's hanging in the balance, you can't fully grasp how badly WNBA leadership is mishandling this historic moment.
She's white. And because of that, when you consider some of the hard times other people gave her, they were resentful of the fact that this white girl came on the scene where there was a bunch of sisters that preceded her spanning decades that were big time that deserved a lot of credit. I mean, people looked at the Cheryl Swoops of the world, the Maya Moores of the world, and others, and they said, yo, there was a bunch of people that came before her that did big things for the WNBA. I respect it. It is right. I appreciate it. But whiteness does have its privileges.
Scenario 1 is supposed to be the easy one. The league and the players simply agree to extend the current deal. In theory, that keeps everything running smoothly, while both sides continue negotiating behind closed doors. Sounds simple, right? But here's the glaring issue. If an extension were truly on the table, it would have happened already. The fact that we're now only hours from the deadline, with zero movement and total silence from both sides, speaks volumes. The owners clearly don't want to compromise, and the players are beyond exhausted from repeatedly being asked to settle for less. Now, scenario 2. If no extension is reached, Both sides slide into what's known as a status quo period. Under this setup, the existing agreement temporarily stays in effect while negotiations drag on. Filippo emphasized that this doesn't immediately mean a shutdown or players walking off the court. Instead, it creates a tense holding pattern. Basketball can continue, but the uncertainty hangs over every practice, every contract, every game. This limbo is dangerous, and it signals just how fragile the situation truly is.
I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold.
Caitlyn Clark won't be going to the Olympics in Paris this summer. The WNBA rookie was left off the Team USA roster. 3 sources say her omission was partly over concerns about how her fans would react when she would likely be getting playing time. Caitlyn, through it all, says she's good. She's going to be working towards the next Olympic team.
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Now, Caitlyn could be picked as an alternate. The roster includes Brittany Griner, Brianna Stewart, Deanna Taurasi. The Team USA women's national team has won gold at 7 straight Olympic Games dating back to 1996.
But let's be honest, Scenario 2 is nothing more than delaying the inevitable. It's a weak, temporary patch slapped over a gaping fracture, offering no real solution to the long-standing issues that pushed both sides into this crisis. Then comes Scenario 3, the one that should send chills through every fan of the sport, a full-blown work stoppage. That could mean the players walking out, but far more realistically, the owners slamming the door shut with a lockout. This is the Doomsday scenario, the absolute worst-case outcome.
There was so much controversy. Caitlyn should be on this team. Caitlyn Clark shouldn't be on this team. You've been a part of it, and then people talked about it's the team, and you mentioned you don't have time to play together. Yeah. Did Team USA miss the boat in not putting Caitlyn Clark on this team?
It's really tough. I think every Olympic cycle, there's a story of a snub, and it is because the talent is so great. Yeah. I could sit here and make an argument for her being on the team, but that would require me to take somebody off. And when I look at this roster, I don't see myself doing that. If Caitlyn had made the team and somebody else had gotten snubbed,
right,
and I could have made that argument, I would have looked at the roster and I wouldn't have been able to take anybody off. So that's the challenge of picking the U.S. women's basketball team. That's why we win gold, and that's why I'm hoping to see another one.
This is the outcome that would completely suffocate the Caitlyn Clark phenomenon and potentially drag women's basketball backward by 10 years. Imagine this. Millions of new fans show up for the 2026 season ready to watch their rising superstar, and instead, they're met with locked arenas, empty schedules, and nothing but disappointment. Those fans are gone. Period. Casual viewers don't sit patiently through labor battles. They simply shift their attention to the endless entertainment options at their fingertips. And that brings us to Scenario 4, the miracle scenario. The league and players somehow come together at the last possible moment and finalize a brand new CBA. But according to Filippo's reporting, that possibility is practically non-existent. Every indicator suggests this outcome isn't just unlikely, it's virtually impossible. At this stage, hoping for a last-minute agreement is pure wishful thinking. The divide between what the owners are putting on the table and what the players believe they've earned is far too massive to bridge in the tiny sliver of time that remains. And when you look at the bigger picture, the situation becomes even more disastrous. The WNBA is staring down several immovable deadlines. The 2-team expansion draft for the brand new Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo is locked into the schedule. These ownership groups paid huge expansion fees with the promise of building competitive rosters and launching their franchises immediately. What happens to all that investment if the league shuts down? Are they supposed to sit and watch their inaugural season dissolve before it even begins? And that's not even the biggest bomb. Nearly every veteran in the league, everyone except 2 players, is heading into free agency. This was expected to be the most explosive, franchise-altering offseason in WNBA history. Teams were prepared to make major moves and assemble title contenders. But without a CBA, the entire marketplace collapses. No signings, no trades, no roster movement of any kind. Everything comes to a standstill, a frozen snapshot of organizational chaos.
Is this happening without Caitlyn Clark? Without the popularity? Because we've seen what happened to the ratings when she was out for those 2-3 weeks. Remember that, right? Don't let me bring that up. Don't let me get some receipts now. When Caitlyn Clark was out, the WNBA's popularity dissipated. That is a fact. Ticket prices, television ratings, it's a fact. It's undeniable. It's undeniable. That's not to throw shade on a product and act like it doesn't grow at all. It's not to say that there wasn't improvement and there wasn't an elevation in its popularity. It's just saying that it's on another dimension when it comes to Caitlyn Clark. Do you know what the best thing that could happen for the WNBA is right now? Are you ready for this? If Caitlyn Clark and the Fever win the championship. If that girl wins.
And this entire spiral of chaos leads us to a massive, uncomfortable question, one that even longtime insiders and analysts can't confidently answer. What happens to the WNBA draft if a lockout actually hits? Think about the fallout for a moment. Does the draft lottery, one of the league's most hyped off-season events, even take place? And if the league proceeds with the draft itself, then what? Teams make their picks, but those top college stars immediately fall into a confusing, frozen state, unable to sign contracts, unable to report to training camp, and most importantly, unable to earn a single dollar. This isn't just about postponed games. A work stoppage derails every pillar the league relies on. From roster building to player development to financial planning, everything comes to a grinding halt. It's a self-inflicted catastrophe that threatens the very foundation the WNBA claims it's trying to grow.
Because this is the most popular women's basketball player in the world, and it ain't close. They had to move the Mystic game to an NBA arena. Name the time. And I'm going to turn it over to you because I don't want to get long-winded. I want somebody, one of our women colleagues, Stephen A., to tell me when a WNBA game has had to be moved because of a woman player. Just one. Just tell me one. Because I know in her attendance, she's averaging about 17,000. All the other WNBA games in which she's not a participant average about 7. So are we really trying to go to game? Is that what we're really trying to do? Or are we just talking about we're trying to grow the game and just bullshitting?
All right, now let's break down what this potential disaster actually means for Caitlyn Clark, because if anyone stands to lose the most from a lockout, it's her. Caitlyn isn't just a popular player. She is the engine driving the WNBA's explosion in attention. She brought in millions of brand new viewers. She delivered TV ratings the league had never come close to. She sold out arenas in every city she stepped into. She didn't just elevate women's basketball, she completely transformed it. The Caitlyn Clark effect wasn't just hype, it was a measurable economic surge that changed the trajectory of the league. But momentum, especially momentum built on casual fans, is incredibly fragile. These aren't long-term diehards who follow every storyline and stick around no matter what. These are people who got hooked because Caitlyn made the product exciting, fun, and worth watching. And if those same people show up in 2026 expecting to see her play, only to learn the entire season has been wiped out because the owners and the players couldn't agree on how to split rising revenue, they won't stay. They won't wait. They'll simply leave. Casual fans always find something else, another sport, another show, another distraction. And that is the terrifying reality. If a lockout hits now, the unprecedented wave Caitlyn created could vanish almost instantly, taking the league's biggest breakthrough in decades with it.
The good news is you get the number one pick.
Yes.
And that obviously becomes Caitlyn Clark.
Yes.
What are she joins the team. What are some of your early impressions of her?
I thought she was super nice. I think it's always weird when you're like used to competing against someone. Yeah. I was like, I forgot, we were like doing something. We had something. I was like, Caitlyn, I just want to say, I'm like really upset that you like did what you did in that in that Final Four game. I was like, I feel like I just need to get it off my chest because like we are teammates, but I'm like, you didn't have to do all that. Like you did not have to go for 40 on our dome. Like, girl.
The league's owners are playing with fire and they don't even realize it. If they genuinely believe they can lock out the players and expect this massive new audience to simply sit around and wait, they are living in a fantasy world. Sports fans move on fast. They have endless entertainment choices, and once their attention drifts, it's nearly impossible to get it back. What makes this entire situation even more outrageous is that the WNBA was finally turning a real profit. After decades of financial struggle, surviving only because the NBA kept it afloat, the league was experiencing a complete transformation. Then Caitlyn Clark entered the picture, and everything changed instantly. TV ratings skyrocketed. Merchandise sales exploded. Tickets were evaporating. Corporate sponsors who never cared before were suddenly offering big money deals.
The reason Caitlyn Clark was left off of Team USA is supposedly because she is not one of the best 12 players in the WNBA.
However, she is currently outperforming some of the guards on this team, including Diana Taurasi. She's one of the best female basketball players to ever play, however, she's not in her prime. Also outperforming Kelsey Plum in nearly every category except for points, and is truly neck and neck with Sabrina.
Not to mention two of the women on this roster, Brittany Griner and Chelsea Gray, are coming back from injury. So the narrative that Caitlyn Clark simply wasn't good enough to make this roster is completely false. Which proves the point that making Team USA is not solely based on skill. So if it's not solely based on skill, why wouldn't you bring Caitlyn Clark? When Caitlyn found out that she didn't make the roster this year, she simply said, they woke a monster.
Not only did they wake a monster in Caitlyn Clark, but also her fans. Fans are pissed because logically it just doesn't make sense.
The amount of people that would have been watching Team USA this year would have been record-breaking, not only just elevating Caitlyn Clark, but elevating every other woman on this team. Make it make sense.
And how did the owners respond to this unprecedented momentum? By risking the destruction of the very product that's finally succeeding, because they refuse to fairly share the profits with the players who made the growth possible. The level of short-term greed on display could genuinely kill the golden goose forever. To make matters worse, the timing could not be more disastrous. Competing leagues like Unrivaled Basketball are waiting eagerly for any misstep. They're offering better pay, shorter seasons, and far superior working conditions. The moment the WNBA pulls the trigger on a lockout, Unrivaled will be ready to scoop up top talent without hesitation. Don't make the mistake of dismissing these alternative leagues as some passing fad. Many of them have serious financial backing and solid business strategies. They are here to stay. If the WNBA goes ahead with a lockout and star players start defecting to Unrivaled, what happens when the lockout finally ends? Will those players even return? The competitive balance could be permanently altered, giving rival leagues all the leverage on a silver platter. The expansion story only highlights how messy this situation is. Portland and Toronto paid enormous expansion fees, banking on growth fueled almost entirely by the Caitlyn Clark effect. These cities are hiring staff, marketing teams, and building fan bases from the ground up. And now, there's a real chance their inaugural seasons could be canceled before a single game is played, a devastating blow to both the cities and the fans. Now, let's step into the players' shoes for a second. WNBA athletes have been drastically underpaid for decades, especially when compared to the revenue they generate. They fly commercial while NBA players enjoy chartered flights. They often play overseas in the off-season just to earn a livable wage. Now that the league is finally flush with money, they're demanding a fair share, and that's completely justified. The catch? By pushing for this fight, players risk halting the very momentum that has given them this newfound power. One misstep could erase years of growth and potentially derail the golden opportunity they've worked so hard to create. The 30-day extension was meant to force a compromise, but instead it's turned into a high-stakes standoff, with neither side willing to back down. Meanwhile, Caitlyn Clark can only watch. She can't control these negotiations. She can only observe as the league that finally embraced her threatens to squander the phenomenon she's created. Her personal brand is secure, backed by massive endorsements, but the WNBA itself isn't so insulated. Right now, the league needs Clark far more than she needs the league, and yet the owners seem poised to jeopardize everything she's built. So, what's your take? Will a deal come through at the last minute, or are they really about to let it all fall apart? Drop your predictions in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest updates on this unfolding crisis.